Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rating Show here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. It's Monday, the 29th of April, 2024. We are brought to you by Horizon Finance Group. We are happy to announce that we have a sponsor for the show. You will hear from Horizon Finance Group a little later, but we wanted to welcome Nick and Horizon Finance Group on board. I want to welcome Pommy. Hello, mate.
Hey up, how are we all doing? Hey, do you know what I mean? Hey, if you want financial advice, come and see me or Nick. Do you know what I mean? Got it all covered.
How are we feeling?
I'm good. If you're a manic, angry, lost type guy, you're going to hate the next 2 hours because my coping mechanism is inject yourself with the opposite of what you feel. So I'm in good spirits. I've just recorded with the besties. So if you are into that kind of thing, I'll be on the besties this week as well. So I'm full of fun, frills, and frivolity.
Love that. Love that for you. Love that for us. That's a pairing. That's great. That's like Uncle Pom and the besties.
Mate, it's what dreams are made of, isn't it? It's that is honestly that. No, it was good. People, they are lovely people. So I'm honoured to be a part of it, and hopefully you all like it.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Well, we're going to bump a show tonight. Got a show tonight. We've got the BA show. We're doing the Blue Abroad raffle later. Gonna get stuck right into it. Oh, we've got Nick here. Nick Horsburgh. Thanks, mate. G'day all. Appreciate the welcome. I'm tuned in while walking my dog. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for people. Is anyone out there? I mean, obviously, most people are probably watching from the comfort of your own home. Is there anyone out there who's in like a random part of the world doing something random while watching? Because I always find that fascinating.
Brownie points if you're commenting while having a poo.
Yes, very much so.
And if you're honest enough, because we've all done it, I'd say 75% of my replies on my channel could be from the throne room.
Do you know what one of my favorite things is? If I meet a couple, and generally it's the gentleman that'll come to me and say, "Oh, mate, love your show," and he'll like, "Oh, I'll watch you in bed," and you can see his partner always give me the same face, like, "Oh, I know your voice." So.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like it when someone says, "I watch you in bed," and I'm like, I know what it's like. Do you know what I mean? When you've been married, you've got to try and spice it up. So,
very good, very.
Don't worry,
good.
babe. Well, I'm just sticking the ratings on.
Don't worry, Dal. Just get my therapy in. Well, this is a big show. We've come off a loss. We've played an undefeated Geelong. If you're new to the ratings, what we do here is we go through player by player, Carlton player that is, and we use an algorithm created by Pommy to rank each player's performance against the entire competition of players in that specific position. So it's very much relative to their role and other players in the league who perform the same role. Scores vary between 0 and 10. And I guess I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of context the ratings give us for this game.
I can tell thee it's a very, very intriguing one. So if you've watched it from round 0 to now, you will understand the ratings at the end. So that will be good. That will be good for you to see if you've learnt.
7:32. Love this. Puts me in the flow state. All right. Well, let's get into the flow state. Let's get cracking. We're going to start as the team was named. We're going to get into this. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with, I'm going to make us a little bit bigger. Firstly, why don't we start there? But Pommy, tell us a little bit about Jacob Weitering's game in this one.
Yeah, Jacob Weitering. Bless him. A man who steps up in the fourth. It's really interesting. We'll probably talk about it in about an hour when we're on T'other show. But one of the guys that really did perform really well in the fourth quarter, he blanketed Hawkins so much so that he was moved on to other people at times. Was part of a defensive line that was getting battered as well. I said it in my review, probably about 25 minutes into the game. He was like, is it 2018 again?
Mm.
Like, started having flashbacks. He was probably shocked to see Voss at halftime. There was that many inside 50s. He probably thought Bolts was going to be there. But the only player to win a one-on-one as well this week. The only player to win a one-on-one. So
Wow.
that was good. And as Nick Cright says, he had a shot at the goal as well, which is as rare as rocking horse poo, isn't it, to be honest?
I was sure he was going to kick that goal because how everybody else was missing in the first quarter. I thought, wouldn't this be ironic? Our fullback goes forward and kicks straight. Upon watching the replay, he was one of a few boys that really lifted when the game got really tight, and also responded. He was well down on his best last week. Against the Crows it was. So that's 2 in a row.
Yeah, he was spot on, Terry. And I think people forget at times as well that it's a tough gig because defenders in this league get absolutely punished when they make a mistake. When they make a mistake, it's one of them things that's really poignant and people really notice. So again, leadership, very important. And we're lucky to have him, let's be honest.
Yeah, no doubt. So we'll take a look at his score. An 8.5. There you go. That's a really good one there. We're going to move on to Lewis Young. Got a bit to say about Lewis. Many people usually have a lot to say about Lewis. How do we look at his game?
So Lewis is one of these players that suffers from what I like to call the defending spotlight. When you're a defender, and Carlton play him deeper, so when you look at Weitering's heat map and his, do you know what I mean? He's deeper, and he was given the job. He shared it with Kempy, the horrible Mr. Jeremy Cameron. And it's tough, but people have got to realise that when you actually look at these things, when you look at a defender, potentially, you see that most defenders are really boring to analyse when you take their defensive numbers because they'll be very good, then they'll be below average, very good, below average, average. Weitering's the freak, elite, blue numbers. So Young here was literally deployed as a stopping role. And to be honest, stopping players of that ilk is nigh impossible. But again, played to his strengths. So I want to give him a call out here. 6 spoils leading on the ground. He played to his strength. He knew that if he went into a marking contest, he was going to get battered, right? Because that's how good his opposition was. So he plays to his strengths. I'd like to see him take the game on a little bit more. Now, that's a confidence issue, and that stems from us, the fans, backing him in and letting him know he can do it. Imagine trying to take that kick on when everyone's calling you a twat. It's pretty hard to take that kick. So he needs that little bit of confidence. But again, he's done impeccably well because I think he would admit himself, fully fit, he's probably not there. But he didn't cost us the game and he squared up. Couple of one-on-ones. Do want to point out, though, that go massively against him this week, where he was looser than a 1955 cam belt, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think a few things need to be remembered. Well, firstly, the initial reaction, because I hadn't watched the replay, I didn't have certainty to say this, but people were saying that he had 5 kicked on him. I mean, I counted 3. 2 of them were absolutely not his fault. There's that. There's the fact that Jeremy Cameron was coming off a goalless game the week before at the MCG. Jeremy Cameron's a freak. And then, yeah, if everybody was available, he's likely to not be in the side. So what's the alternative? You know, and for him, I don't know where he finds it. I felt like 2022, his first season with us, he played with that aggression and that force. Maybe because there was a bit of that fear or that doubt of, you know, proving yourself to your teammates. I haven't seen that version of Lewis Young too much since. A couple of times last year. And I don't know where he finds his confidence from, but I'd love to see him work through it. And, you know, there's no use saying let's delist a player in April. That's not a conversation we can have realistically now. We've got to back him in.
The only person you can delist in April is the coach. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Backroom staff, you can't sack them. Do you know what I mean? Players, unless they do a misdemeanor, which isn't not being very good at your job, let's be honest, you can't sack them. And you know what? People forget, 2022, we played a real deep defensive game. Right? So that helps because you're surrounded and you're all there and you're kicking to packs. Carlton have evolved into a side that's trying to get titles. So they play higher up. So he's going to be exposed one-on-one. But if you play against Jeremy Cameron, you're going to be exposed one-on-one. And you're spot on, Terry, with that point. 3 of them, yes, right? Lombast him. But are you going to lombast the young defenders who were on Charlie Curnow? Charlie Curnow's a freak of nature. So is Harry. So sometimes you're just going up against a better one. And anyone who's saying he shouldn't be playing, you've never watched VFL. So for me, you can't comment on the ins if you can't prove to me you've watched over 20 hours of VFL over the last 4 years. Because Sam Durdin and Domaku are another ballpark. Young is it. Young is it. I'm telling you now. I love Sam Durdin. I love Dom. But I tell you what, I'd think about not watching the game if they were playing. That's how bad it could be.
Yeah.
All due respect.
It's a tough matchup, and I just hope he can find some confidence because we need him while McGovern's out, while Marchbank's not available. That's the reality. We need him to get better. So a 5, having said all that, and we'll move on.
No, but chat, think about it this way. 100 points conceded, that's over AFL average. So to get above AFL average in this backline at the moment, you are going to have to take the piss. Yeah. Like, really take the piss. Like, we're talking elite game. So that goes against you. The algorithm isn't going to say 100 points. Oh, well done.
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Well done.
That's a good point. Yeah. I think everyone's going to suffer a bit of a price defensively in this rating show. We're going to move to Zack Williams. Had some moments where we need him to be better, but he's looks battered and bruised, doesn't he? Looks like he's just, that's the reality. He's finding his feet again. That's the truth. How'd you see his game?
It's a tough one. He's copping a little bit of hate, which is totally unjustified. Do you know what I mean? In this role, it was very interesting. Carlton had to negate. So you could see in that at the half, Voss realised that our forwards were laying no tackles. We'll come on to that when we get to the forwards. So they had to do something. So Williams kind of shifted into a more defensive role in the second half, which really killed him. You can see here the red numbers. Staggering 5 one-on-ones, 4 of them on the ground, and he lost them all.
Wow.
And he was bullied. There was a great passage of play in the third. Tyson Stengel threw this guy down like he wasn't there. Now, you can argue about the free kick. Should it have been given? Did he play for it? I've got no objection for if he played for it because they're very rarely paid. Do you know what I mean? They're very rarely paid in game. They're very rarely played unless it's an obvious thing. And it was way down the ground where there wasn't really umpires. They were watching the contact. But the ground ball was really strong. He did do that. And that's why I wanted to highlight the one-on-ones because he's got the ability to win it. So I don't know if that was him protecting his body. Was he not willing to go in for the kill? 436 metres gained, very much needed. Carlton were hemorrhaged at times. Someone had to get them going forward. So he did his job. But all in all, I think you've got to look at it this way. If this was Lachie Cowan, there's probably an element of defending him, right? Because he's a young player. This is Zack Williams, who has been there and done it. So we're looking at him in these situations. I don't care Sard's injured. I don't care McGovern's injured. He's got to step up. So that's not a criticism of him, but we are expecting some output from him. Not because we paid for him, but because he is a senior player. So wasn't his greatest game. I've seen worse, but you know what? You got to do what you got to do. And it probably wasn't where I'd want to see him.
No doubt. No doubt we need him to be better. He'll know that. Interesting comments this week. David King calling for Vossi to drop him this week. I don't know who would come in, to be honest, if he doesn't play. But we're going to need him against the Pies. It wasn't good enough against the Cats. He's got to be better against the Pies. He's got to lift and rise to the occasion. And I don't know, I said it a few weeks ago. Get him to 10 games. He's got to back it up. Get him to 10 games. He's nowhere near his best. He has moments where he looks really good. A few dashes in that second half looked really Zack Williams like, but a few contests where he just didn't have the force in his body to defend like he can. So it was a so-so game. It was probably a loss on the day. So
my honest opinion of him is Matt Cottrell, right? Matt Cottrell looked very average for Carlton until we had a system and players around him, right? Look at Zack Williams at GWS. He wasn't the star, but he had stars around him. He had grunt players. Judge him when Williams and Sard and McGovern are that trio. That's when you judge him, the guys who are going to back him up and do what they do well. And he's the icing on the cake. He isn't the layer. He's just the icing of that back line. He's not the sponge, and the sponge is to return. And I feel like Vossi got it wrong with the makeup. Not criticising Voss, but I feel personally I would have probably utilised him. I would have liked to see him being utilised a little bit differently, and Nick Newman being given the hard role, personally, but did what he did. Yeah.
So we get to 5 as we move along. We start talking about Brodie Kemp. This is an interesting heat map. What's this, the McGovern role?
It's interesting as well. So we talk about Highline. We're going to really cover the shit out of that. So if you're sick of Pom saying Highline, probably time to go and watch Maths. But there you are. Look, there's the Highline. It's up there, isn't it? Like, that's high up there. Decent meters gained, like Terry says, playing that interceptor role. 5 intercept possessions, very tidy. Again, though, this was the plan. So in my preview, if you watch that, I said that I thought the perfect matchup was Kemp versus Cameron. The reason being, you can't stop Cameron, right? If you try and defend Cameron, you look like an idiot. The way you stop him, and teams have had pleasure of stopping him, is they become aggressive, knowing that that's the outlet ball. And he did that well. 5 of them were from targets to Jeremy Cameron. So that's pretty good. Marks, again, though, this is where I had a little bit of an issue with his game, and this is just because we're trying to be a top 4 side. There was a few times that he took a couple of uncontested marks where he needs to be McGovern. He needs to get into the brain of Mitch McGovern and go, right, I am dictating traffic. I am the conductor. And he took the safe option when the corridor was there. And that's something that will come as he gets more responsibility. But that's my one gripe now, adding that layer, getting that offense into a 10. Because that's what Mitch McGovern would have done in them situations. He would have gone, right, corridor, let's play. Where he was probably playing the percentages and feel that role, you've got to be aggressive. So that's my only knock on him. But you know what? If that's my only knock, you've done pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already noticing a trend. We always miss the guys that aren't here. Don't make excuses for it. But it just felt like the spotlight was on a few more than what it normally would be when you have Sard and McGovern in there. And the reality is none of these guys are Sard or McGovern.
No, but on the counter, it's an opportunity to be.
True.
Because for me, Lachie Cowan and this gentleman here, they're deputising for McGovern and Sard. And when they retire, they are Sard and McGovern. So I want to see these. I want to see these habits. And I know Kemp is naturally aggressive. So this is coaching that's made him defensive, right? It's coaching and it's an understanding of his role. So that deserves praise. Take the game on, though, a little bit. Take the game on a little bit, young lad, because this would have been a 10. If that was 500 metres gained and 4 score launches, we're talking about a 10 and we're saying, fuck McGovern. Like, that's how close it is. That's how close it is, Terry, now.
Wow. That's interesting.
And he can do it. He's capable. More than capable. AFL average. For AFL average, 100 points conceded. Jesus, that's red panty night.
Yeah. Well, a 5.5 is what we get for Brodie Kemp as we look a little bit further in the back line, and that's Jordan Boyd. Really interesting in the way he was used in this game.
This would be a game that Adam Sard will have watched, I would think, and 2 things would have crossed his mind. One, I can't wait to be back. Finally, there's someone else doing my job, right? And number 2, he would have watched it And maybe there would have been a little bit of trepidation from him going, I need to get back. Like, I need to get back quick, because if he keeps pulling these games, I could be in bother. So took his goal incredibly well. Really healthy meters gained. Probably the only mid-sized small backman who performed really well at deck. He had gear and mirrors for a lot of company in this game. And I think battered him. It was only when he went off him that Myers popped up. But Myers pops up whenever he needs to. Intercepts. This is really interesting for Boyd, because this is not his strength, right? But a guy that I will look at and say, well done, you have taken this opportunity. You have really taken this opportunity that your senior figure's not there, but you're saying, you know what, I can do your job, mate. Have the day off. And his goal was spectacular.
Yeah.
A few times he was caught on, and this is going to, just when you see his rating, you'll understand, but just understand this. A few times he was caught very, very out of position. And that's from his starting point to where the ball ended. And that's something he's going to have to work on. But to be fair, was playing very high up the ground, and it's not something he usually does.
Yeah. Well, these group of games that we've got, while we wait for the rest of the first choice defenders to come back and be available, are crucial, because when they are available, those guys, there's only one spot in the way I see it, maybe two available. And right now, I think Jordan Boyd's taking that and well ahead of the rest for that, final spot or two spots. I think he's put himself right there. I find myself trusting him more and more every time I watch him. The fact that he went forward and kicked a goal, incredible. You don't expect that from a player in his position, but yeah, he's very much a reliable and trusted player.
He was, and Voss moved him defensively as well in the second half. So that does affect his rating as well, because if he was just an attacking rating, this could have been an 8. This could have been a 7, 8, 9, whatever. But I agree with you. Terry, we have this rule, don't we? 7 backmen, 7 mids, 7 forwards when we're picking our best 22. Start of the season, he's probably 7th. Do you know what I mean? He's fighting for 7th and 8th. Now I'd say he's easily 5th.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? I'd say he's now not a conversation. He's cemented, which
there's no doubt.
Credit to him, bro. Credit to him.
No, fair. That's fair. Yeah, I had a seed of doubt at the start of the year, but I think when you look back at last year, I mean, we got important games into him. I mean, Chincotta's not playing, but we got games into those two in particular who probably wouldn't play otherwise at the time. And all of a sudden, you're talking about a guy that's played in a prelim and played well and has finals experience under his belt. And you look at how he started the year 2024, he's continued it on. So he's coming along.
Coming along nicely, mate.
Jordan Boyd, that is, got a 5.5 for his game.
Which, again, pretty high considering your roles changed in-game. That's always tough. So that's pretty much doing a 7 out of 10 for both of your jobs. That's quite hard.
Yeah. All right, let's look a more senior player in that back line. And that's Nick Newman, who we knew going into the game, we spoke about it, that we'd need a bit more from him. We'd need him to lift. When everyone's playing, he sort of steps back into his role. He's not needed as much to distribute the ball, it seems, but it was a lot better here. These numbers are incredible.
Yeah, so this was Voss's bold plan. We said, did I think he got it wrong? Personally, this is a criticism, and it's just me trying to think of how you improve what we've already got. I think he's great at this attacking role. I just think defensively, he's superior to Zack Williams and Jordan Boyd. And I think that for me, I would have gone the other way and given them the full aggressive role and said, I know you're a senior player and you've played more games and you've been reliable. Big job for you, bro. Big job. I'm going to trust you to do it. I understand why he gave it to Nick Newman, though, because look at the numbers. The output is what you expect, but Nick Newman, my favourite player to do, because no matter what role you could do, you could get him delivering the hot dogs and he'd do it fucking well. Like, he doesn't care. Nick Newman doesn't care. There's no ego. He's like, right, what do you want me to do? I'll do it. And phenomenal game. And again, that hard area. So his job here was backing Kemp up and looking for them scraps when Kemp breaks even, particularly young, with them spoils, and he mopped up Lewis Young's spoils, like called him the janitor. 4 intercepts as well. We're getting into them Sardi numbers. Defensive half pressure acts, though. This guy was running from contest to contest at times. Like, Carlton's problem is ground balls in defence at times. This guy is at every contest. He's like, right, okay, I've got the ball back. Let's go again. Let's go again. If you had 4 of these, we win.
Yeah.
Comfortably. That's what it is. Fantastic performance. And no one's talked about him. But go back and watch him. Jesus, this guy works his arse off, man. Works his little tush off. And, you know, he reminds me of Cade Simpson towards the end of his career. It's just like he's doing his job and he shouldn't have to. Sometimes he's doing other people's job when they're caught in transition, and he's the first to put his hand up, and he never complains. He just does it. And, mate, consummate professional. Great player.
Industrious. So he leads the team in meters gained with 513, leads the team in defensive half pressure acts with 13. So just keep in mind, where you see an asterisk, it means that the player led the team. Let's have a look at his rating.
It means you're the best around.
A 6.5 for Newey. Okay. Let's get into the midfield. We're going to start with young Ollie Hollands. Bit down in this game, for sure. I think the inexperience showed, didn't it?
This was, yeah, like, come on, I defend this boy. He's like a son. Do you know what I mean? I defend him. But this week, we learned the error of his ways. So this week, you definitely saw he missed that overlap run. So this is what I was talking about with Newman and co. He's used to that overlap run. He's used to slotting in behind and protecting the overlap, which then masks his attacking flair. This week, you can see after last week where he was a little bit more industrious, felt like he went into his shell at times. And I think the only benefit for this is he will have watched Binns come on, and you saw Binns probably get ragdolled a little bit as well. So you saw that it's a very hard position to play, even though he played at half forward, which is easier than playing the wing. It was a tough one for Ollie because we didn't attack that right-hand side. All the traffic went the other side, as you saw. Geelong's right-hand flank, ours left. It's a tough one because he's on his own, but this is one of them games where he will look back and go, and a few of them will do it. I need to be a bit more selfish. Times I need to overlap myself, and that'll come. That's game management. That's understanding your place and understanding what you're about. But all in all, did what he had to do. The meters gained is probably the only thing. But like Lou says, need to start getting possessions. For me, all due respect to you, Lou, because I love you to pieces. But to me, that's a stupid comment because wingers get the ball. They don't get their own ball. They're one of the few positions in this league we don't judge them on their contested possessions because that means they're doing their job wrong. They've got contested possessions. See Lachie O'Brien and players like that, Whitfield, Setterfield when he played. They're losing their width, which creates problems defensively massively. We don't go that right-hand side. And this is where last week he was actively getting the overlap run. He was really working hard on that and demanding the ball. I felt in the second half, I watched him quite a bit. And I don't want to put words in his mouth because I can't speak for him, but it felt like he wasn't demanding the ball. Where last week he was overlapping running, and you see him, he's like that. Give me it. This week it felt like he was happy to do the defensive role and maybe didn't want to be exposed. I can answer that, Lou, because he's on the left-hand side. So he's on the other flank, the flank we attack. So if you watch Carlton transition, we go down Akers' flank. We don't go down the right. You very rarely see a switch from the Blues.
There was a point early in the game, I think very early, Zach Tui tackles him, Ollie that is, pins him. And I remember thinking at the time, is he going to be able to work his way through that? You know, obviously he's made an error early on. He's been caught early on. Can he get out of his shell? And then I think there was a piece of transition, maybe in the second quarter. Cats sort of go diagonally out of our 50. Ollie got caught a little bit too too close to where the contest was. Dempsey got it out the back on the wing and away he was. And yeah, it just wasn't it for Ollie this game. It is what it is.
The person who will be happy we'll come on to him soon, Elijah, because they switched them round to try and get Voss sees it and tries to get him into the game. Bit of a spark, but it didn't quite happen. Like, I felt for him because last week I was so happy. I was like a happy dad. I was like, yes, we saw that attacking flair. It's in your head now. Yeah. This week, don't want to say he didn't do it, but it felt like he was trying to avoid the pressure. And it's just how it appeared. I'm not saying he shit bricks, but it felt like he wasn't saying, give me it, give me it, give me it. And I understand why, because they are a dickhead. I mean, they are dickheads, the way Geelong play. They're so hard to beat. Very, very regimented. So
he's got to watch his game against the Pies last year, in particular, where he tackles Braden Maynard. Just watch it on repeat this week. That's the kind of mentality we need from him.
This week's probably his best week to play because he's against a side that spreads the play down both flanks.
Yeah.
Collingwood are masters. They're about 30, I think it's 38% right, 29 left, the rest through the corridor. That they're an even spread. So Ollie is going to have to defend, but he's also going to get turnover, right? So he's going to get the chance. So he'll bounce back this week. Won't you, Oliver? You better do.
He will. All right, next up. Well. The player of the game himself, Patrick Cripps. The Horizon Finance Group player of the game, I should add.
You've given that away, Terry, for everyone at... I made a special slide as well and everything, you know what I mean? You know. But yeah, Patrick Cripps, what can we say about him? Consummate leader. And I whatever this guy's selling, I'm fucking buying at the moment. I'm buying them in droves. This is a man who is ready. There is a great passage of play when he kicks that snag. And this is a big shout out to Cripps because 3 years ago, I think we all would admit his kicking at times was what everyone used to criticize. I would say he is a guy, when he's got a set shot, just turns me on. I'm just like, it's gone through. I don't even panic anymore. I'm like, it's gone through. And Daddy Cripps turning into a very special player. And when he kicked that goal, turning round, if you lip read, he goes, let's fucking go, boys. We can do this. Fucking get back. Get back. Turns me on. That is a man now. It was like, I ain't the Great White Hope. I am the fucking club. And he is the working heartbeat. And people say Doc is the heartbeat of this side and things. I think you're actually seeing Cripps is the heartbeat. He is the soul of this club. And said it on the besties, the best captain I've ever seen for this club, because I've only been here 11 years, Chris Judd. Chris Judd isn't in the ballpark of captaincy as Patrick Cripps at the moment, because Patrick Cripps isn't Judd, who was the best player. Patrick Cripps is the best player he can be, and he's raising people around him. They're not stood there like they were in 2011, 2012, going, fuck, Judd's all right. Now they're like, Cripps, I'm here with you. I'm supporting you. Phenomenal transition in 3 years. Absolutely adore the man, and what a wonderful captain. And there's no player in the league who deserves to lift that cup in September than this guy. This guy, when he lifts it, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Cripps, maybe, I wouldn't say retire, but I could see him standing down when he wins it and handballing it off, because I think he's putting everything in. I think you're seeing parts of his soul left on the ground.
Yeah, it's a good call. I mean, we'll talk about Michael Voss's presser probably in the Blue Abroad show at length. You can see there is something going on inside the four walls where they're looking to raise the standards. We're no longer the team of last year where it was, just be cautious with them. They still got to prove themselves. They're getting there. It's like, no, the standards are here. It's almost like there's a reality that they're living through right now that this is it. This is the opportunity. We can do it this year. And so I was really pleased to see him. I mean, I had given up. I'll tell you the truth. 6 minutes to go, he kicks the goal, and he's like, "We've still got time. There's still time." And I thought, "Fuck, he is."
We didn't on the watch along.
Yeah, he is refusing to allow his teammates to succumb to it when things aren't going their way, and it's really reassuring. So, Really pleased to see Patrick Cripps score a 9. How good. A 9 for the 9.
Right. Beautiful to see.
Yeah.
Beautiful to see.
Got a quick video here. You want to meet Nick from Horizon Finance Group? Have a look at this.
I'm Nick Horsburgh. I'm the director of Horizon Finance Group. I've been in the automotive industry about 20 years now and brokering for the last 7 years. I started Horizon Finance Group about 3 years ago. I've got a passion for really helping people. So if they've got a bad credit rating and have been previously knocked back, what I really enjoy about the role is being able to give them guidance, put them in a position where they've got better financial practices and get them their target of getting a loan for them. That's really rewarding for me.
There you go. It's a nice little beat there.
That was
it's class.
Was relaxing. That was relaxing.
That was class. So, yeah.
Can I just say, chat, look, listen to a Northerner here. You can trust a man who looks after your money, who has a blackened oak table in his office. Nothing says trust like that. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So, if you do have any finance needs in your life, link is in the description, and also in the live chat. Basically, Nick is offering a free consultation to our Blue Abroad community. So there you go. All right, let's move on. Who's next? Blake Acres is next on the other wing. Doesn't this guy like a moment? Like when the moment arrives and when it's needed, his ability to lift and generate for us, he's starting to become his reputation. That's who he is now.
Do you remember last year when we used to watch Blake Acres and people used to complain about his ball use and things like that, and he was a walking disaster at times, particularly that first 12 rounds. He was the one when we used to do this. He always used to cop hate on the ratings. That moment in the fourth is a special type of footballer. How he just kept on going. He drops the shoulder. And you know what I love about Blake Acres is it's like being Bowser in Mario Kart. Fucking takes ages for him to get to top speed. But when he hits it, Jesus, he's gone. And what a goal. And you know what? You're starting to see it, aren't you? The infectiousness of him. He's starting to believe. And he starts to love this club. I loved it when he kicked that goal, when he pounded his chest. You were like, the Frio's dead. You're a blue. You know, you're a blue. It's infectious. And he wants your praise. He went straight to the fans and he's like that. He was like, amazing. A year ago, people were calling you a twat and you still want their love and affection. What a man. And ground ball gets, man. So when Lou asked the question, I said, don't judge him on contested possessions. And Pom's going to be a hypocrite here because ground ball gets are a contested stat. So they are something that we look for, the hard man stat. This guy here, because everything went down defensively for them, the left-hand side. When you watch Geelong, their long kick goes down the left-hand side because they use blitz arbs and they bring Jeremy Cameron up and Reece Stanley. They like to defend the left side, attack the right side. Carlton are the opposite. We defend both sides heavily. This guy was budging people out of the way. Tom Atkins, who was like on steroids when he came on, Acres knocked him twice, just bumped him out of the way. So he gets the hard stuff as well. That's a real great facet of him that he's not scared to. Generated scoring attempts, meters gained, second on our team as well. And look, Blake Acres, the wonderful thing about him, he's everywhere. And the only reason he didn't cover the ground this week is because, like I said, Geelong don't have a favourite side. They defend one side and attack the other. So he didn't really have to move around, bless him. If we played a team that doesn't have such a regimented plan, it would have been pretty. But again, love Blake, mate. Love him.
You said something last week, which I think rings true again this week. With Blake in particular, he's so aligned with his role. He knows exactly what he needs to do on game day. He knows, seemingly has a really good feel for when to insert himself. And you got to be really careful to compare Ollie Hollands to Blake Acres. Blake Acres drafted in the 2013 national draft. Ollie is in his second year. So you're looking 8 years into what Ollie Hollands could potentially become with his impact. So you got to be really careful to say, well, if Blake can do it, why can't Ollie? Blake is the blueprint, I would say, for Ollie. Blake is Ollie, what Ollie can look forward to hopefully becoming.
Mate, spot on. And you look at him, and he's just, he encompasses what it's about to be a winger. I ain't going to get gift-fed opportunities. It's going to be really fucking hard. I'm going to have to be working my role. And to be engaged in the game for so long, knowing that at times you ain't getting that outlet ball when Saad plays that give and go with you. You're having to work. To take that moment in the fourth shows how engaged he is as well. So, really exciting time. Blake Acres, honestly, I hold him in the echelon of Golden and players like that. The output he's putting in is tremendous. And, I mean, look, he's had more clubs, hasn't he, in 10 years than Leonardo DiCaprio's got engaged. Like, but he's finally found his home. And it just shows you, doesn't it? When they feel at home, what they provide. Because I reckon St Kilda and Fremantle are looking at him at the moment and going, Jesus, this is what he's capable of?
Yeah.
Trip player. I love him.
I've got plenty of a 7 for Acres is his rating. I've got, who did I speak to recently? I spoke to a St Kilda supporter saying, like, where was that Blake Acres? And it just goes to show sometimes you can just not be in the right environment. Blake looks like he's been at the club for 20 years, the way he goes about it. I like when new players come to our club. I guess any club, any fan would. I like when these new players come to our club, and it always takes time to feel that you are a Carlton player, and you've got to sort of earn the trust, and you got to be endeared to the fans. Blake's been there, done it at a couple of clubs. He comes to us, took some time for us to latch onto him. Obviously, has a really good impact, great impact in the final series last year. That's it. You're one of us, and he looks to be continuing on to that. I thought my worry, maybe it was just a bit of pessimism. I thought, will he keep pushing, knowing that he could, never play again for the club, and we would still have him, still have a statue of him in our minds. But it's been really pleasing to see him continue to elevate to the point where I almost look at him as one of the leaders now on field.
Mate, spot on, and great comment by Ryan and Mal. I think Lucas Camporelli, been watching a lot of him last year and obviously this year drafted. Lucas Camporelli will look at this guy for a little bit of inspiration. I feel like Ben Camporelli is going to be that wing inside mid, can play all over the place. But I can't think of a better person for Lucas to come into and learn off, because Paul Hill makes a great comment. He wasn't drafted as a winger. Fremantle basically told him, we're probably going to delist you unless you learn to play wing. And he was like, okay. And that's been quite an open discussion they had with him, Fremantle, that they gave him the option. Do you want to just see out in the reserves, or do you want to learn the game? And look at him. Like, this guy has taken the opportunity, and arguably he's easily inside the top 3 wingers in the league. Easily inside. And the fact we've got 2 wingers coming to the club, they're going to learn a hell of a lot off this guy, because offensively he's strong and defensively, and clutch, isn't he, man? Like that, honestly, that goal, man, how good was it? Like, it looked like he'd fucked it up 3 times and just kept on going.
Well, his second one, Weldy said it on the fan cams when he came on. It wasn't quite semi-final decibels, but it was like deja vu. There was like a moment there where the way the crowd got energized from his second goal in that fourth quarter, it was just borderline reaching for semi-final territory. I really do think that deja vu had a part to play in why I felt that.
Spot on. We love him. He's a fan favourite, and fan favourite already, isn't he? We love a bit of the Blakers.
Yeah. All right. Let's move into our forward line. We start on the half forward flank, and we start with Matty Cottrell. He's a cheeky little bugger, isn't he? He's becoming our Brian Myers. No, sorry. He's our Matty Cottrell. That's what he is.
Mate, spot on. He's our Matty Cottrell. I think he works so hard. And again, the leading runner on the ground. And interesting, Vossi switched him to the left wing, that problem wing in the fourth, and tried to get Oliver into the game, playing high up. But there's a few problems. We'll cover it more on the show. But Con Dimo made a comment on Facebook a couple of slides back when it was Cripper. The defence isn't the problem, it's the mid and forward. And this is spot on because, again, tackles inside 50 and the pressure acts here from him weren't so good this week. They were from the other side. But he's a real metronome of energy. And this is a guy that will be, I reckon he would love to talk to his midfield group and go, I am making so many selfless leads. Stop kicking it to Harry and Charlie. Yeah. Like, I'll kick it to them because him and Elijah, I would say, who are the most angry at the midfield, it's not Voss, it's Cottrell and fucking Hollands, because they're like making these leads which Geelong utilise to get the ball deeper to protect it if they do turn it over, and they're just left alone. Like, there was times in that third quarter, there's 2 leads he makes where Collar Jasny ignored it because he was like, Carlton ain't kicking there, fuck him. Like, it was like literally that attitude. Go for the run, mate. Waste your time. They kick into you. And it's a shame, but works tirelessly. And you've got to admire that. 15.3 kilometres sometimes for no reward. That's tough.
True. Another reminder of the strength he's added to his game. I think it was the 4th. He goes into a contest, ball in hand. I think Blitzarves was there trying to tackle him, or Dempsey, and he just bounced off the Geelong players and got the handball out. That's not something he was able to do 18 months ago, 2 years ago. So I'm really enjoying how he's added strength to his frame. And again, another reminder of time. You need seasons, multiple pre-seasons to add, the kilometers in your legs, the strength through your hips, and then put it all together. And I think he's starting to reach into heights that I've not seen from him before. So it's good. The development it's on the right track. He's still got some more to go, but he's making inroads, and he gets a 5.5 for this game.
We love Cos. We love him.
We do. All right. Elijah, mate, the prophet on the MCG, on Passover, and he came true. I felt it in my bones he would kick a couple of goals, and he did.
Mate, he's something else, isn't he? Let's be honest. He is something else. I mean, as Depeche Mode song, he's all I've ever wanted, really. And look, 2 goals, took them a plum. Look at that as well. The Acres flank. Cottrell will hate him because the ball comes into him. Tackles, kilometres ran, second most of the team. That's score involvement's not meters gained. I don't know why I didn't change that. So he didn't get 7 meters gained because that's not elite. That would be laughable. But really strong from Elijah. He's really the complete player. And when we signed him, I did the show with Terry and I said to you all, he was my favourite of his draft class, a guy that I really admire. And I think Gold Coast have treated him like shit. He's come here and this is what I used to say. This kid is special. Like, I still stand by it. That year's draft class, this guy is probably 1 or 2. He's supreme. He is a very, very good footballer. And you know what? Don't need Papley when you got Elijah. Anyway, fuck Papley.
Well, further to what we said earlier, Acres, it takes time when you're at a new club to acquaint yourself. Your teammates have got to learn your movement patterns. They've got to learn like which side of your body to handball to, kick to, like the little intricate things like that. So that hasn't even come yet for Elijah, but he looks to be pretty well accepted on game day and trusted, knowing that it's going to get better. And yeah, he played his first game, looked really sharp, got hurt his second game, was a bit banged up the week later, and first game at the MCG against a really good opponent, had some critical moments, and we're going to need that and some this week against the Pies. I like his start for the club.
Mate, this is why it's important we change our entries. If we can get Cottrell into the game with these 2, forget about it. But he's got finals written on him as old Lidge, hasn't he? Like, his celebrations are pretty good as well. Like, I have enjoyed the different hand signals. I haven't seen so much hand signals when someone's kicked a goal since watching that Compton movie.
Yeah.
Few fucking fair old hand signals between the Hollands brothers.
You know what I like about him as well? Kicks on his left. I've seen it at training. And to see it translate on game day, kicks on his left. Very few in the competition.
Anyone noticed as well? It looks like he wants to shoot every time he gets the ball. Like it feels like even when he gets the ball in the back pocket, his brain is like, "How can I have a ping at goal?" Like it's great to see one of these forwards fuck defense off and say, "You know what? I'm going to snag." And I like the fact he's got that arrogance already, a little bit of swagger about him.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so at 8 for Elijah, that's a really, really strong score. Then we get to Corey Durdin. Tough moment in the fourth. He'll be ruining that. I thought he was okay earlier in the game, but ultimately you need to take your moments. He didn't take his moment. I thought he positioned himself better this week than last week at the drop of the ball. But, we need more.
I think it's easy, like slagging them off, but like the small forwards, and it actually annoys me because it says to me, when people slag our smalls off, you don't watch the game. And if you do watch the game, you probably don't understand the game, because Carlton rank as the worst side for quality on shots. And that stat is basically what that means is are they easy shots? Are they from the AFL's Champions Data's easy positions? So they are 60% and over. So that's pretty impressive. So that basically means it's guaranteed a goal. So basically Carlton's knocking it into a 30% conversion. This week, AFL average is 28.7 conversion from where their average shots at goal at, right? So to score 100 from that is good. But you're talking that 45 out our entries. Our inside 50s are the worst entries I have ever seen from an AFL side, because they're kind of just inside 50s. So that's when you're looking at Durdin and Owies and going, right, okay, your ability to lock the ball in and put pressure is hard, is stiff, because now we're in the half forward line, right? That's one reason that he struggles. The second reason is Fogarty being there. It felt like Owies and Durdin had a competition to just be Fogarty. One of them needs to be selfish and stay at home. And all the top clubs have a forward who they're like, don't tackle, just get in position. And it's a bits and pieces game. It's like I'm rating 50% of Fogarty and 50% from Owies to get a whole one. I feel like he needs to have some identity, and the club needs to give him a role. This is a Matt Kennedy situation now with Owies and Durdin. Are they defensive? Are they attacking? One of them's doing it. One of them's doing it. One of them's doing one job, one's doing the other. It's tough. But, he fed on scraps all day, and it reflects in his score. He can't kick goals if the ball's not there.
True. So we get to 4. Does Corey Durdin. As we move along to Harry. Upon watching the replay, boy, he was good. He was really good. Had a few shots on goal, which I think in particular the one where he hit the post, where you're just like, Harry, come on. But honestly, apart from that, he was one of the more dominant players, particularly in the air, on the ground.
Harry and Charlie are freaks of nature. Are just freaks of nature. And Harry's ability to be behind the ball and then wrestle his way to the front of a contest and take a mark on 4 people is ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's freakish. It shouldn't be illegal. Mark's inside 50 again, top on the ground. Mark's on lead. This guy's leading is impeccable.
Yep.
But this is the problem. So see what I said about Durdin. We'll come on to Owies. When our key forwards are doing this defensively, and it's happened a couple of weeks now, that's a problem, because we're going to come on to Charlie in a minute, but all your complaints about Charlie Curnow are not true, because his pressure compared to other key forwards is in the good side of average. Harry's the freak. Key forwards don't defend and kick goals.
Yeah.
This guy is doing 2 men's job on his own at times, and so is Charlie. And this is where the inside 50 is for me at the moment. If we had a Brodie Kemp or a Nath forward with a good one like this, there'd probably be a big problem, because you're probably scoring 70 18, you'd be like, oh, why can't we have a Charlie Curnow type player? It's a real interesting conundrum. But this guy, honestly, Bugs Bell nails it. Absolutely phenomenal. Considering this time last year, the press was saying Carlton should delist him. Phenomenal.
Yeah. No. He is utilizing every bit of his determination in games. He's really committed to the defensive side of the game. We will get to Charlie. You know, a lot of us asked for more tackles. We did get that from Charlie. But for Harry, it's consistent. He's consistently showing up on the defensive side of the game. He gets us out of trouble so many times around the ground with those marks that he takes. It allows us to get better control of the field positioning. And, you know, he's kicked 2. Probably could have, should have, would have, had 3 potentially. But, you know, I think because the game was tight, you look at goals and they have more of a premium. But we don't get as many chances as we did without Harry McKay playing in this game.
Mate, amen. Amen.
So Harry,
guy wants his arse off.
Yeah. An 8 for Harry McKay as we look to TDK. How do we see TDK's game?
Mate, again, this guy works incredibly hard, and we're starting to see this now that he's now got that defined forward role, which is great to see. Finally, we've got the system. You go forward, Pittonet is the backstop, and he's thriving in that role. Did incredibly well versus Reece Stanley. They tried to put him off, and they brought all sorts of weird and wonderful people in the ruck this week. Did Geelong? I'm not too sure what Geelong were planning on doing. But you could see that their big issue this week was, shit, what do I do? Blitzarbs, I thought he did incredibly well against Blitzarbs, who's that awkward side, but battered him when he had him. And it wasn't there, was it? The goals just weren't there. We're usually expecting to see them big numbers from old, like last week. We thought it was going to happen. It's not going to happen all the time. He was in the right positions, though. And that's really important for me. He got in the right positions. It's coming together. I liked his game this week. I liked it. Yeah,
I mean, look, 3 behindsy kicks. I think probably 2 of them you think he could absolutely be doing better. He set shot. To be fair, he hasn't really had a lot of set shots in games in his career. So this is something we're starting to see, particularly since Pitto's been back in the side. And yeah, I like what I'm seeing. Got to convert at a better clip than what he did in this game. Week before, he was sensational when he kicked his couple. And so just to expand, it's 2 games in a row now against top 4 sides. If you classify Geelong and GWS as top 4 sides, it's 2 games in a row where the 2 ruck system has worked, would you say? And worked to good effect? Won't work every week, but it definitely has looked really good in the last 2.
Yeah, it's coming together. I mean, it's 3 games this year. And this one's probably a net positive. Last week certainly was a massive net positive. And the Adelaide game was probably a negative. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as Meatloaf used to sing.
I'm going to get you to upload number 29 as we look at Tom de Koning's rating, which is a 6.5. So no, he didn't kick 6 goals. Tom de Koning, he probably had 6 marks.
I'll tell you in a minute. I've just seen people ask that in comments. It might have been clearances, I think. No, it might have been marks. Might have been marks then. I'll tell you in a minute, but I've just uploaded 29 for you.
Okay. There we go. So Charlie Curnow. When I was at the game, I felt a frustration with his first half. When I watched the replay, I realized he was a lot better than what I had felt at the game. Really lifted in the second half in particular. He comes up against 2-3 defenders. The way that Geelong set up as well, the way that they had that extra right in front of him at all times, the attention that he gets, it takes time to work through it, no doubt. But he definitely had his imprint on the game. I'd be really curious to see what the coaches' votes are if they've come out yet. But yeah, once we got to the end of the fourth quarter, he definitely had impacted the game significantly.
Yeah, there's this thing going around at the moment, and it actually does my fucking head in that Charlie's lazy defensively, right? This needs to end. It needs to end, right? Because Charlie, as a key forward, these are official Champ Starter stats, right? He is currently ranked 9th in all defensive pressure stats in the forward line, right?
Wow.
Harry is ranked number 2, right? So if that's lazy, Jesus. The words you're looking for is laconic, right? He reminds me of someone like
Tracy McGrady.
Someone like Dimitar Berbatov. When the game's not going his way, he shrugs. He looks a little bit pissed, right? And that comes across like he's not trying. But the cold hard facts are the guy's averaged 1.2 tackles inside 50. Do you know what I mean? Tex is slightly above him. Brodie Kemp isn't. It is above him, but nowhere near on goals and outputs. Do you know what I mean? Noah Bolter has been playing the back half of the ground, but still in them rats because they still list him as a key forward. Pressure acts as there. Inside 50 again. 3 tackles inside 50 this week. 5 ground ball gets. Again, the number 1 ranked forward in the ball below down his feet. If you remember last year, we said if he was actually the number 1 goal kicker from Smalls, right? If he was a small forward, score involvement. Charlie is a very special footballer, and it surprises me. I know he's my favourite player, so I'm going to defend him. So there is that. But tell you what now, there isn't many players on our list teams would sell their souls for. Key position players over the last 5 years have been bobbins in the draft.
Yeah, true.
Tell you, if he was on the free market, name the player. And not many players on our list would be that. Him and Harry certainly would be. And Charlie's a special human being, right? Special human being. And it's a shame to see he's lazy, he's not working hard enough. Charlie Curnow, without a shadow of a doubt last year, because Harry was out of form, is the reason we played finals. No if, buts, and maybes, right? True. So, 2 Colemans, tell you what, not many key... I'm telling you now, his pressure, all the other clubs would be in love with in the forward line, then add the goals.
Yeah. What did you make of his shot in the 4th where he wheeled around and played on? When I watched the replay, I was catching Jason Dunstall's comment saying, he should just take his time. Sometimes it seems like he just wants to get rid of it. Is that a factor? Or is that just Charlie and this is who he is and this is what he does?
Talk to you on the phone about this, Terry. It's the worst golf coaches you ever come across will try and teach you a perfect swing. The worst coaches in the world read from a hymn book. You know, all them idiots on Instagram who are like, join me today and I'll make you happier. Human beings aren't books, right? I'm sure you've all had BDMs who come from university and there's Karen at the front desk demanding her money back. And she's like, oh, it's all right. When I was at university, you just say this and they stop shouting at you. Right? In real life, human beings are human beings, and you need your DNA in what you do. That's Charlie's DNA. Harry's DNA is he'll snap one arm in the corner and he'll kill someone in row Z. That's who he is. But that DNA allows him to be supreme. Charlie Curnow, his DNA is round the corner, play on, play quickly. And there could be something quite simple from a sports psychologist point of view. He may have been told to do that. The reason being, the more he thinks, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think Charlie, when he's playing well, he's on instinct. And I saw a comment the other day, when the ball hits the deck, he doesn't tackle. No fucking forward in the league chases and mops his own crumbs. It's why you have small forwards. Do you know what I mean? That's their job. Like, do you know what I mean? Do you blame the fucking receptionist when the maid hasn't cleaned your room? No, it's the maid's fault.
That's a fair point. It's a small forward job at ground level.
But statistically, with your eyes, with reality, if Charlie Curnow is blamed for Carlton's losses, shit the bed, start blaming him for finals. Should build him a statue.
True.
Should build him a statue. That's what you should do.
I'm going to, first of all, Charlie gets an 8. I am going to be fascinated with how he is umpired this week. Because Geelong hit it very well. Some of the holes they actually defend. Fair play to Geelong. I'll give them credit. Whatever they do, what they needed to do to quell his influence. I do remember the last time we played Collingwood, and I can just smell it. I can just smell the media narrative brewing about Charlie and the free kicks. The reality is this: he's kicked 8 goals from free kicks this year. Very few, if any. Maybe Jeremy Cameron's the other one, but Jeremy Cameron plays a little bit more outside of the 50. Very few get the attention that Charlie Curnow does. So I hope I don't see umpires getting sucked into this narrative on Friday night when we play the Pies.
Personally, against the Pies, I hope the twat kicks 20 goals from the most dubious free kicks you've ever seen.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
He does love playing Collingwood.
I just hope they're all frees. I hope they're all double 50s, absolute cheap free kicks as well. Free kicks that are not there, because Collingwood fans, I agree with Jazz on this. They've just been saying all he does is kick free kicks. So I would love it if this game he just got 1,000. Alex makes a great point. Dylan, old Darcy Moore is a free kick waiting to happen. To happen. Because he does like the old handhold, does old Darcy.
I think he might have a bit of Billy Frampton action this week, so that'll be very interesting.
He'll smash Frampton.
All right, let's move on. Pitto, hang on a minute. Hang on just a minute.
Hey!
Mate. Hello and welcome, Mark Pittonet. He backed it up.
Do you know what I mean? This is one of the most beautiful things to say from him. And probably the most important stats from Rooks in 2024 are probably these score launches, these ability to generate. And we'll talk about it in the next show, but Scott really gave you what the AFL think about Carlton in his interview. It was a fantastic post-game. And he actually helped Voss how to fix how we lost the game. Well, he said from stoppage and particularly clearance, Carlton's 666 allows them to organically create one-on-ones. And he mentioned Pittonet and said Pittonet's ability to deliver the ball quite deep very quickly caused chaos because we couldn't double up on their forwards. And Harry and Charlie, we know, supreme one-on-one, right? They lick their lips. Them score launches, 8 of them, best on ground. Phenomenal. Score involvement.
Launches. That's unbelievable.
11 clearances. Fuck me, dead. Mark Pittonet as well. Look, no longer red dot. He's got like a little red vomit there. He's had a couple too many tequilas. And look, do you know what I mean? They found his role. This backstop role, like when people say he's slow, Carlton have adapted the system. They've got elite runners. So they're just basically saying, right, you just stay there now. You've done your bit and stop people bursting through stoppage. Makes a wonderful tackle on Blitzarbs, who's really tough. Cripps gets, I heard a comment in the press a couple of weeks ago. Cripps does really well, but his opposite person does really well as well. Blitzarbs had his worst game statistically on output, was absolutely woeful playing Cripps. And Pittonet was a big problem for Blitzarbs. He couldn't burst through. So really like what they're doing. Still 2 games in though. 2 games, 1 bad one. Still need to see a bit more. But so far, it's looking tasty. And Lou makes a great point. Do you know what I mean? Pittonet is a little bit like Harry at the moment. Because he's big, he doesn't get the free kicks the others do. And I agree with Bugsbell. The reason he's so good, and this is something TDK can learn, he doesn't move. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't jump. He stands there and says, you jump on me. So real nice, and I love it. But then again, I debate if Reece Stanley is a real ruck, to be honest. Yeah. He's bobbins, but you only beat what's in front of you.
Seems like Pitto doesn't get viewed in the same light that most players do when it comes to entering their prime. Pitto's always been, I believe, Pitto's always been judged, this is who he is and this is who he will be forever. The reality is this, he's 27 years old, turns 28 in June. So he's in that sweet spot for a ruck. He's not a premier ruck by virtue of where he was drafted. He's probably not going to become the best ruckman in the competition. But in terms of doing his role, one of the things we talked about going into 2024 with Pitto was, the obvious one. Great at stoppage, need a little bit more around the ground. But why is he not afforded the time to develop that part of his game. Because if he adds what he has in the last 2 games, we're talking about an elite ruck now, not just a average to good one. If he plays like this on a consistent basis, which I don't know if it's going to happen, it might not. We're talking about one of the more unique ruck pairings in the league right now. Like, this is what Freo were kind of trying to do with Darcy and Jackson. Watching Pitto's first 10 minutes of the game, and David King made the comment, keep him on. I wish we could see more of him. He was completely and utterly the best player on the ground to start the game.
Playing with hunger and playing with desire. I mean, to answer your question, Terry, I think it's why the media, like Bugs Bell, he hates the media as much as I do, and he's very good. He ignores it. But the reason is that the media, we're like Liverpool, right? We're like Liverpool Football Club, right? You ever want to see real passionate fans, but then 19 teams mock fans? We always pick on Liverpool because they're the biggest flip-floppers in the world. When they're winning, yeah, we're the best. Bill Shankly, the history. When they lose, first to go, I'm glad Shankly's dead. He doesn't have to see these idiots. Like, straight away, they flip. We're very similar. We're very passionate. But the truth be told, Mark Pittonet is who he is. Terry, you nailed it. He ain't Dean Cox. He ain't fucking Max Gorn. He ain't Brodie Grundy. And if you want him to be Brodie Grundy and Max Gorn, Jesus Christ, don't watch him, because he ain't going to be. But you know what? Voss has found the system. He's found what we need. And he's trying to build this game plan, because Voss is obviously adamant, whether we agree or not. I'm still on the fence. I keep flip-flopping. Am I a 2 ruck man? Am I not? But he's obviously got it in his head. It's 2 rucks. And we're trying to find that system to make it happy. And he plays like that, though. Fuck me. Like, I agree with you, saying first quarter, easily our best player.
Yeah. And I think it's just one you put in your back pocket. You look at what's happened in the last 2 weeks, 2 top 4 sides. He's played at a really high level. Look, he's moving freely. He doesn't have his legs bandaged up like he did the back end of last year. I don't think it's going to work every week, but I don't think we should draw a conclusion and write it off when it doesn't work next.
Just got to keep doing it, mate.
Yeah.
The big thing for me, what I love is it's obvious he's busting ass, which is probably because he's fit.
Yes.
That helps.
Yeah, he's moving a lot more free than what we saw second half of last year. Also, we've got young Jack Carroll in that midfield mix as well. We're going to add Adam Chera at some point, hopefully this week. There's another high-level midfielder that's going to be working off his ruck work that I'd like to see. So I'm excited. I'm happy for him. I'm just happy for him and the way he's going about it. He's made himself really relevant in this conversation, and he gets an 8 for his game. So well done, Pitto. Let's talk about George. Wow, that is a really interesting heat map. How do we assess George Hewett's game?
So really industrious. So again, the pressure acts. This is the most thing. So sneak preview for the show in 30 minutes or however long it is, 15. Pressure is everything. Pressure is everything. Clearances, again, contested possessions, does all the ugly stuff so everyone else doesn't have to, and work really hard defensively. And as Alex says, he made a house out of the pomegranate.
A little Mickey Mouse type character there with a bung ear.
M-I-C-K-E-Y, M-I-U-S-E.
All right, we're going to start speeding up this a little bit. Maybe we should put this after. I think this show could go for 3 hours if we tried. A 7 for George Hewett. Let's talk about Sam Walsh.
Baby, let's talk about you and me.
And me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things.
How I'd imagine if you ever gave raw amphetamine to Mark Pittonet is his heat map, right? Do you know what I mean? Because look, it's like really condensed in the middle, and then little smatterings of Walsh here and there. Played a little bit differently this week. This was the Chera role he was given, and again, look at Sam Walsh. Sam Walsh is a dream because you get the defensive creativity of Hewett, you get the rambunctiousness of Cripps, and then you get the bells and whistles of Chera. And this guy's just like all of them put into a pot, stirred up and presented. Hard ground ball gets 10, 7 scoring. Just everything's elite. really. Everything's elite. The only thing he had against him was there was a few goals coming from the midfield, which the midfield all get punished. They're one of the few departments that they all get punished because they are the centre bounce crew. But aside from that, Sam Walsh kicked ass and took names. And just remember, he was Stephen Hawking 3 weeks ago, chap.
He was. And he was tagged in the first half. They released that in the second half. But yeah, his impact unquestioned. And just get Chera back in the side. Just get Chera back in the mix. It's just tasty, the thought of it. It's an 8.
It's almost boring.
Yeah. It's an 8 for Sam Walsh. Might be his lowest score for the year so far. Young Lachie Cowan. What do you think of his game? Very young.
Young. He'll probably bite himself at the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Bite himself at the fourth quarter. This was a tough one because he just never really got going for him. And he's again Sam Walsh, but with average AFL above average. He was just slightly better than normal in most areas. It was quite... He just didn't get going. He didn't get going. I feel like there's more to him. I was really... And I think that's a great comment by Damien. You didn't notice him, which means he didn't fuck up massively. Yeah. It just feels like you want to use his skills here. I would like to have seen him get a bit more kicking time because I feel like that's the next layer of Carlton, not these dribble kicks out. A big bomb would do. But all in all, great experience because he played a real tough forward line that moves like I've never seen. And he didn't look too out of place.
No, particularly he's 19 years old. He's a pup. He's very, very young, very early in his career. And 2 games now in a row where you're playing against the elite teams in the competition. So some good exposure for Lachie. He got a 4.5 for his game. As we move along to Matthew Kennedy, who looks to be really thriving the last few weeks.
We've been excited about him having a role, and this midfield bit of forward time is really suiting old Matty. And again, you want to pick on anything with the defence. Forwards, look at this: 4 best on ground inside 50s tackles, and this guy spent a large portion in the midfield. So that's an aberration that to the forward line. Because this is again shallow entries means it's coming into his purview and it's missing the first line of defense. And he worked really hard, but it's not sustainable. You can't keep doing that, right? Mm-hmm. Because they've got one layer to kick around. 26 pressure acts. The guy is everywhere. Another goal. Doing the ground ball gets. I really like this move. And you know what? Bam Bam now has probably become undroppable with this role. And it's going to be interesting what they do with Chesney. Obviously, Carroll will come out. It's going to be very interesting. Will the midfield time go to Chera, or will he give Carroll Chera? Will Chera take Carroll's mid time, which is and then being that extra? Be interesting how he uses him.
Very interesting. So a 7.5 for Matt Kennedy. As we move on to Jack Carroll, got the starting gig this week. Kicked a goal, took a moment that was needed. Probably just didn't get enough overall, though. Obviously, he's still a young player, still in the early phase, but he's more closer to the next phase than the starting phase of his career. So we just didn't quite get enough from him.
Tough one because you can see there he's got the Mickey Mouse house that George Hewett had, but the problem is this Mickey Mouse house has been engulfed by a sea of red. It's a tough one because this is where, for me, injuries are setting Jack Carroll back. He needs to be in the VFL. He needs to be working on his craft, and he needs to be figuring out what he is. And it's interesting because he doesn't look like a winger. He doesn't look like an inside midfielder. He certainly isn't a forward. And it's starting to be the draft all over again. What are you? So he needs to go to the VFL. He needs that luxury that Paddy Dow had for 6 to 7 months, where he could just exercise that role and put the pressure on and be ready, because it's not suiting him. And this is a role here that I feel like if Kennedy was playing it, he'd be impactful. Jack Carroll at the moment doesn't really have an ace. He's just got a load of 8s. Right. So that's what he's trying to do. So tough game for him, playing the masters of their craft.
No doubt.
He'll get found out.
So he gets a 3 for his game, Jack Carroll, which I thought was interesting because he kicked the goal in the first quarter, and I thought, perfect. Young player, goal, hit the scoreboard. He's not a known goal kicker. This will give him some confidence, but it just didn't eventuate afterwards. But he'll be right. Matt Owies, this was another one that, you're starting to see it now as we get towards the end of the show and the end of the rating. You're starting to see just so many that we seemingly carried that just weren't able to execute their role.
So the end of that, you've got that like amoeba-looking thing of where his hot spot is, and the single-celled organism that has 2 cells with his 2 touches. If you look at the end, the goal end to that, that's where Carlton needs to be penetrating to help Owies out. Because at the moment, where his next blue dot is in that red one, the one that's higher up, that's where Carlton are targeting. And this is the problem. They're targeting really, really shallow, which means that they've already got 40 metres gained to get to your goal. And it's not a great place to crumb. And he got really lost in this, where Durdin is working hard with the score involvements, which boosted his score, and he was giving it off. Owies, he's kind of stay at home, spot on, Mac. He's stay at home, and if he's staying at home 45 out of goal, he ain't going to score well. Do you know what I mean? It's like using the wrong size wrench. You're just going to get fucking angry.
No, that's a good point. Do you think so? He gets a 3 for his game. I mean, there isn't really anyone to come into the side that could take his spot. Is there? I don't think it's at that point where you drop him. I think the competition for his spot will come when the rest of the small forwards are healthy and available. But I back him in to bounce back. That's one of the more poor performances I've seen him have in his career. I back him in to bounce back. He's a lot better than that.
Needs to go deep. Like this isn't on him per se. Like honestly, there's no it's one of them things that it's okay saying we're Cal and this is how we play, but also pull your head out of Icon Park and look at 17 other clubs. Small forwards ain't defending 45 out; they're defending 15, 20 out. Yeah, and then you're asking them to have their numbers. Ain't fucking happening.
Yeah,
I mean, fair. Unless you get Jesus in the forward line, you might be able to conjure something up from his dad.
He's got a celebration against the Pies next week. Jackson Binns, wasn't this interesting? Late in, debut game and the sub, quelled all the theories about what you can and can't do with a first gamer. Hard to rate, let's be honest. He came on at a point in the game where it was just so hot. He's been playing VFL football his entire career up until this point, since he's come into the system, and it was difficult for anyone to try and impact. So it's a really hard one to look at.
Tough one. I mean, again, tackles, that's good. It's good. I mean, this is what he's been working on his craft. I feel like this is a game here, though, that I think if you actually watched it and you weren't excited about Binns, you actually saw why he hasn't been deployed so much, because he's not the toughness of Hollands. He's still more slighter than him. That's not his game. He's more exuberant. They played him at half forward, which is a role that he hasn't played predominantly since he was in juniors. So that was a different one as well for him. But he was game. And I feel like he will have watched this game and gone, okay, cool. I've played in it now. Got that rod off my back. Now I know what I need to work on. Because there's no doubt about his talent. Jackson's a great guy. And feel like it was way too young early for him, because he's the type of guy that will come in and won't lose his job. So it's a nice little taster for him. I'd imagine he'll be back in the VFL this week when the guys come back out, and he'll have a hunger to go, right, okay, this is what I've got to do. This is what I've got to do. I'll stack up.
Yeah. So a 4 for Binnsy. Obviously, it's been adjusted. Is that right?
It's he's kind of been really looked after there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like if you were judging him that way, but like literally, we aren't adjusting the scores anymore because you didn't like that. The feedback was, so we just kind of protect it. So it's basically it goes down, but it wouldn't go down.
Okay. So let's have a look at the team. Says a lot, doesn't it? Too many Reds. Just too many Reds.
Too many Reds, but I mean, also there you can see probably where the problem is. Voss criticised the defence, and when you're looking at defence, red midfield is what you're looking for. You're looking to help them out. And that's the pressure wasn't there. That 160 pressure in the first quarter was kind of, it showed you where it is. Midfield battled hard, though. Defensive tried to wrestle it back. But again, you need some blues and you need your whole team to be green. And against the top 4 side, you're in trouble, because we always say, every red, we need a blue.
That's a good point.
And
so
we got a lot of reds.
I'm sorry, I did go early on this, but we do have the Horizon Finance Group player of the game.
Next week, when I have a bit more time to prepare, because I played golf yesterday, because I couldn't give a fuck about football. I'm all about golf. You will have a leaderboard. So Horizon will present you the leaderboard of all the players, and we've done it 2 different ways. We've got a rolling average, and then we've allocated 22 points. Subs are excluded. 22 points to 1 based on their scores, because it does it to 12 decimal points. So we can do that. So how's that? How's that, chat? Don't say I don't do anything for you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, ladies and gents, that's the rating show for this evening for round 7. Thanks for being here. Welcome to Nick and Horizon Finance Group. Welcome to the Blue Abroad family. I mean, you've already been part of the family, but now you're a partner. So welcome to you. Thanks for your support. And Pommy, thank you. Thank you for what you do. Because, yeah, this is the most insightful show on the channel. No doubt about it.
Oh, thank you. I like to be part of that. Nah, I don't need thanks. I just need flags.
True. Well, guys, have a quick drink of water, make a quick cup of tea. We're going to be back at 7 p.m., both of us, for the Blue Abroad show. Big show. The raffle as well. That's going to be going on at the end at 8 o'clock. So if you haven't got your raffle ticket yet, hurry up. We're spinning the wheel at 8 p.m. Can't wait to stop talking about this Geelong game and start talking about Collingwood. But we've still got about 25 minutes to talk about this game. Anyway, see you guys. Go Blues.
See you in 3 minutes.